I have listened to a ton of albums this year, and I've made so many good discoveries in 2023. However, there are a few that weren't that good, and that's what this video is. I'm going to name the top 10 worst CD discoveries / finds that I've made in 2023. I'm not even going to do that much fancy editing in this one. You know, most of these albums don't really deserve it. So I will say some that are kind of near the bottom of this list, I wouldn't say are terrible, but they just didn't really speak to me. So of course I'm going to be naming some albums that I'm sure there's going to be some people who actually do enjoy these, and of course I don't fault you. But of course, again, this is all just my opinion. You can have your own. We all hear these things differently, so go easy on me. I know at number 10, this is definitely a big album here. So let's just jump right into it. At number 10, I'm going to go with The Smiths, The Queen is Dead. I know, this is often highly regarded. And you know, I'm not going to be that person that will say I think it's overrated. I think I'm kind of trying to get away from those terms now, but it just didn't really do much for me. Again, it doesn't sound bad. I mean, for what it is, the production sounds pretty good, but I just didn't think the songs really, like I said, they didn't really speak to me. And, you know, Morrissey, he doesn't have the, I don't think he has the greatest voice in the world. It serves, but again, just doesn't really impress me. The lyrics didn't really grab me either. And I thought most of the songs kind of felt the same. They kind of samey, I will say. Again, it's number 10 because, again, it's not the worst thing I've heard, but again, compared to all the other albums I've heard this year, this one didn't really do much. So there you go, number 10. Number 9, we have GNR Lies by Guns N' Roses. This was basically just an EP originally. Technically, this was 2 EPs put together to make this. Some people consider it an album. I hear some people say they don't. I don't care because I don't care about this, actually. I mean, it has Patience. I mean, that's the only song I really knew going into this. But other than that, again, half of this is live. The other half is studio stuff and more acoustic songs. And they sound okay, but again, comparing for what they just released, which of course was Appetite for Destruction, and then you come to this, kind of disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sure there are people who think the same way, and I've heard some people defend this quite a bit. You know, again, it's just my opinion, but to me, not really my thing. Number 8, Skid Row with their debut. Again, not terrible. I think there's some decent songs in here, like 18 and Life. There's another hit, I Remember You, which was a pretty big hit as well. Again, the problem with this album is that the songs just sound kind of generic. You know, this came out in 1989, so at the tail end of the hair metal scene, and you can kind of tell it's starting to, you know, the whole genre was starting to lose steam, and everything was starting to sound kind of generic, like I said previously. But you know, Sebastian Bach he's a good singer. He has a good voice, but again, I just think there are better singers that I would rather listen to. So there you have it. So we're at number 7. Now for this next one, I'm going to take one album from this collection. That's the Hollies original album series. I'm going to talk about one of them. And that album in question I will show is, if I can just pull it out real quick, if I can find it. I think it's trying to hide. It knows it doesn't want to be seen. But yeah, obviously probably the worst of these 5 is probably their debut, Stay with the Hollies. Again, it's not horrible, but again, it's just a band kind of doing a lot of covers. They haven't really found their unique sound. The vocals are decent, But again, just the songs themselves just aren't that memorable or interesting, and really I got no desire to listen to this one. I mean, this collection does have good albums. I mean, their next album, In the Holly Style, far better improvement. Holly's self-titled album, pretty good. Would You Believe and For Certain Because are way better. But you know, that's just me. All right, we're at number 6 now. Number 6. Number 6, Fleetwood Mac, Behind the Mask. Yeah, pretty not so good stuff. And, you know, this is the first album where Lindsay had left the band, and so they had to get 2 guitar players to replace him. And because they were so forgettable, I already forgot their names. I think one of them was pretty well known. Let's see if I can find it. Billy Burnett and Rick Vito. So it was those 2 who replaced Lindsay. And yeah, their voices, not bad, but just doesn't really stand out. And the songs that they write, again, not that memorable. Even Stevie's songs are pretty forgettable. And I know Stevie has a lot of fans, but I will say, like, the songs that she writes for this album, not that good. Yeah, they don't really interest me. The only saving grace on this album is Christine's songs. And yeah, I can admit they're not her greatest songs, but definitely more listenable, and I can see myself listening to those songs more than the rest that's on this album. So yeah, this is entering a dark period in the band. All right, about halfway done. Number 5. Number 5, we have John and Yoko, Plastic Ono Band, Sometime in New York City. Now I know this was given to me, but I'm sure this person won't be too upset that I'm talking trash about it, hopefully. But you know, this album has a pretty infamous reputation, mainly because for its single, Women is the ... of the world. Yeah, I mean, I get what John was trying to do, but I don't think he did it that well. And that's really I get from this whole album. This is basically John at his most political. And you know, I'm not against him doing it, but I think at this point, and I've said this in the past, that this was kind of the point where pretty much everybody was saying, John, we get it. Shut up now. Yeah, so this was kind of the final straw in that era of John Lennon's solo career. Yeah, and the rest of the songs, again, not bad, but not really top tier in my opinion. And then you have disc 2, which is just a bunch of live recordings. I mean, the live stuff sounds okay. You know, Frank Zappa appears on a couple tracks. But again, I'm not a live person, so it doesn't really do much for me. Number 4, and we're going to take from another Originals album series collection. So this is The Byrds. And then the album I'm going to show, it's going to be this one, Birdmaniacs. I feel like I'm going to sneeze right now. I could cut it out, but I really don't care. So, okay, sneeze is going away. Leaving this in because, again, I don't care. So Birdmaniacs. So this was, to me, this is the Byrds at their lowest, mainly because of one particular member, and that is Skip Batton, who was the bass player. He wrote a bunch of songs for them during this period, and yeah, they're not that good. They just stray way too far what the Byrds were known for. You know, a lot of them had a very like show tuney feel, just kind of weird, like how does this fit the Byrds music? And again, there's a couple decent songs. Like probably my favorite song on here is Pale Blue, which I think that's a nice song. Even the rest of the album, even the rest of the stuff that was not written by Skip, some of them range from okay to decent, but again, not some of their best material. Yeah, it's kind of a shame. And the next album is not much better. And I'm talking about farther along. That almost made it in, but I decided to only keep it just one per artist. Number 3. And here's another one where I can feel people be upset about, but again, to me, this was too weird even for me. That's Frank Zappa, The Mothers of Invention, Freak Out. Of course, this was the debut. And you know, I'm not against Frank Zappa. I mean, I bought Hot Rats earlier this year as well, and I think that's far superior than what's on this thing. Again, Frank Zappa is known for being weird, and again, I don't hate weird stuff. Like, I have a couple weird albums in my collection that I enjoy, but this one I felt was too weird, even for me. You know, a lot of the songs were pretty short, getting pretty out there musically, pretty psychedelic, kind of experimental. Yeah, again, I just didn't connect with it, basically. And I know this era of Frank Zappa has its fans. Of course, you can be a fan of it, but just not one of them. All right, these top two definitely deserve their top spots, in my opinion. So at number 2, I have Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, American Dream. And you know it's bad when I didn't even bother removing the price sticker. I only got this for $1, and also I didn't even bother fixing it because it was broken when I bought it, and yeah, I still have no real motivation to fix it. So of course, the history of this one. So this was the reunion album of CSNY. Crosby had a whole episode. He was on drugs. He went to prison, and Neil promised David that if he sobers up and gets clean, he'll record an album with them. And he kept his word when Crosby actually got sober. And yeah, pretty disappointing. You know, it's pretty 80s sounding, and it could have worked, but again, some of these songs just aren't really top tier. The title track, I mean, kind of corny. Name of Love's also pretty corny as well. Let's see what else is here. And again, there's some songs that are kind of forgettable too. Shadowland is Graham Nash doing this weird Vietnam thing, or not Vietnam, like Cold War thing maybe. And again, just kind of, yeah, he loved that synth sound, I guess. Still songs were pretty cringe. You know, Compass is not too bad. I don't mind that one, and I actually don't mind Got It Made. Actually, I think that song's not bad, but yeah, not great. But of course, I'm not going to do just honorable mentions because I feel like I don't want to talk about negative stuff for too long. But number 1, the worst CD I ever listened to this year, and I got this. I got this. I stole this from my mom's collection. I don't even think she was too big on it either, if I remember correctly. She only got it for the one song, and that is Lady Antebellum. Need You Now. I only took this out because I actually do like the title track. I think that's a good pop song. But the rest of the album is just so... It's just your typical country / pop sludge or whatever. It's just so sappy, corny as heck, and yeah, very annoying. Again, the title song is by far the best song, but everything else is just so painfully average, just so vanilla, no bite at all. It's just so, yeah. And of course, the name, I'm going to talk crap on their name because, of course, Lady Antebellum has a slavery connotation to it, so they now go by Lady A, but you ain't fooling nobody. We know what your name was. So yeah, by far that was the worst one. But again, those 10 that I just mentioned, really, that's just a very small percentage of all the albums I've heard this year. Again, pretty much a huge majority of the stuff I heard this year were really good. And in the next video, I'll talk about my top 50 favorite discoveries I have made. So look forward to that video tomorrow. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed me ranting for a bit, please give it a like. Subscribe if you are new, and comment below your thoughts on my choices. You can talk about anything. You can say how wrong I am, or you can agree with me. Doesn't matter. But thank you again for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for my top 50. So take care, and goodbye for now.